I moved back and forth between my mom and my dad. My dad always lived in the city, and my mom always out in the country. And I'd do a year with my mom, a year with my dad, a year with my mom, a year with my dad, and then in high school, it's the longest that I ever stayed in one area, and that was on the coast with my mom. I really have a lot of strengths that I think I gained from moving so much, is that I can go into a group with people that I've never even known, and I can strike up conversations and find things that I relate with anyone. I played football, wrestling, and baseball my entire life.
How early did you start wrestling?
As soon as I could. I think it's like 4 or 5 or 6 or.
Oh wow.
Yeah, whenever you can start sports. Sports has always been the reason why I was at school was for sports. I've never been big into academics. I've gone to college twice, and I just can't learn things that I don't want to learn. So when it comes to sports, I'm very athletic, and I pick up sports really well. I pick up athletic movements really well. I remember seeing the UFC and liking the UFC when I was in the military. The military is when I first got around. In high school, I was small school. There's 200 people in my entire high school.
Oh wow.
So I knew everyone and their immediate family. And when I got to the military is when I really got exposed to more of that.
Now, what drove you to the military?
Ever since I was a little kid, the only thing I could ever see myself doing was retiring from the military. My dad was in the Air Force. Every Halloween I'd dress up as like a dead wounded soldier. I'd have camis on and always playing guns. My dad has a picture of me and my 2 cousins, and I'm 5 and they're like 3 and 4, and we're all saluting the camera. So it's something I always wanted to do. He tried to talk me into the Air Force, and I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it right. I'm going to the Marine Corps. Yeah, so I joined the Marine Corps in September 2003, and I went to Iraq for 3 deployments, August, April from 2004 to 2005, 2005 to 2006, and 2007 until I got out. So yeah, I did all 3 deployments were in Camp Fallujah, which if anyone followed the war, that was a pretty hot area when I first got there. I was involved in the first real taking of the city. There was one taking of the city before I got there that failed. The military turned it over to the Iraqi National Guard. Their head guy was shot, and the city fell back under terrorist control. So when I got there, we were part of the force that went in, took it over again, and then maintained the control. I'm really glad that when I joined the military I was 17, because now I wouldn't be able to stomach that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that happen at the time that you have to laugh about, and then you get out, and now I'm 27 and I'm looking back at some of that stuff like, whoa, a lot of that stuff wasn't cool. Being in a bulldozer, I was a heavy equipment operator, so I was in a D9 bulldozer, fully armored, the blade's 9 feet tall, 14 feet wide, and I'm just pushing over houses. So a lot of that stuff that happened, it's not, at the time we're laughing about it. You see some messed up stuff, you have to laugh about it. There has to be a release. So it really affected me, and the worst thing about my deployments is that it was 7 months over, 5 months back. 7 months over, 5 months back. 7 months over, you're out of the Marine Corps. And it's just like, you come back for 5 months, you go on a month of leave, and you're right back training to go back over. And we're going back to the same area, so I knew the same roads, the same bases I helped build. We're back of occupying, maintaining that. So it was just never any downtime. It was like being deployed for for 3 years straight. Because the mindset's always there. You're always training. You're always going.
Now, how difficult is it to readjust when you come back?
Yeah, it was really, really hard. The only friends that I had were military friends. It's hard to relate to people. A lot of your values change when you're sleeping in the dirt or you almost die. A lot of things change, and you see how fake a lot of stuff is. Someone's like, want to buy a new car, and you're like, that doesn't even matter. Like, you're missing the whole point of life, and it's not that new object. It's living every single day, and sleeping in the bed and having that shower. So when I got back, it was really, really hard for me to adjust. I hung out with some of my high school friends, and just, even now, today, I'm not as bad as I once was, but it really affected me at one point where it was just hard. I felt lost. I joined the Army again, or I went from the Marine Corps for 4 years. I was out for 2 years, and then I joined the Army National Guard, because I got to a point where I was like, you know what, maybe I'm supposed to be in the military. I don't feel right in civilian life. Maybe that's the only place where I do feel right. So I joined the Army, was getting ready for another deployment, and I was just like, you know what, I can't do this again. So I was in for 1 year. I did a try one just to see if I like it, and I was like, this isn't for me. My first exposure to anything like that was wrestling. I wrestled for 8 years. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and they have a pretty rudimentary martial arts style, a lot of eye gouges and head stomps, stuff like that, some weapon stuff. When I was in Camp Pendleton, I started training some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But the gym wasn't very good. The coach was more concerned if there was a pretty girl in the class, that's who he was going to. There were some guys that came up from another gym, and we're kicking the heavy bags, and he came up to me and he told me, don't ever kick in a fight, you'll break your leg. No words on what I was doing wrong or anything, just told me that. So it was really bad training, but it was enough that got me interested. And as soon as I got out of the Marine Corps, I was working at a roofing company. I had my CDL, so I was driving trucks, and I was lifting weights and stuff, and I was like, God, this isn't enough. This isn't, I need that adrenaline rush. I need that release. So I found out that I lived on 82nd and Stark, and the Team Quest that I've always heard about was 100 blocks straight east. So I went there for my first day, and as soon as I went the first day, I was hooked. I was going 2-3 hours a day, 5-6 days a week for like 3-4 years straight.
Now, did you find it just to get the release and training, or did you have in your mind that you wanted to fight?
I've been in a lot of fights growing up, a lot of high school fights. I got a few street fights. So I've always been in fights. I'm never one to initiate things, but I will never back down. My grandfather was a street fighter. He fought a lot, taught me and my cousin how to fight. Had us box each other until one of us was feeling it. So I mean, as soon as I got out and I started training, I knew that I was in a fight, but it wasn't the reason I was there. I was there for that release, and I was getting it because, I'm an aggressive person when I don't train. So if you go to an area where people expect that aggression and they're like, hey, awesome job, and you just got done slamming somebody and hitting them, I was like, this is sweet. Like all this time, my parents were telling me, you need to quit getting in fights, you need to quit doing this, and then I found an area where people like it and they want to watch it.
Now, how similar is the gym compared to like military, as far as like a brotherhood or the camaraderie?
It's very close. Yeah, it's similar. It's just the only thing, the difference, if you went from the gym to the military, you'd probably see more of a relation. Going from the military to a gym, you see that brothers because you sweat together, and there's a lot of emotions that happen chemically when you sweat with somebody that makes you, bond in a different way. When you're at your weak point, when you're struggling, and someone's there with you, you feel more of a bond than if you're, just doing something together. So it's there. It's a bit different. I can tell when I'm talking to someone that's been in the military, that's been deployed, and we have a little more in common. For me, it's definitely the biggest adrenaline rush that I've ever had besides being in a firefight, being in combat. But it's very, very similar where, it just, you feel light on your feet, your joints are loose, you're ready to react. For me, I blank out the crowd. I don't really see any of them, and I'm really, really calm. And I don't think about anything. I kind of go into a blurred vision where I don't really see anything, and I just react. So it's an awesome feeling, and that's why I keep doing it, is because I just like, it's a perfect release, and I feel the most calm when I'm in a stressful situation. The worst that's going to happen, I'm going to get hit, I'm going to get my arm popped. All those things, you'll be okay. There's a referee there, he's going to stop it. You can go in and completely vent and release yourself, and it's in a controlled environment where you can release all of that aggression. I'm the most peaceful person after I train. Everyone I talk to, they're like, oh, you're a nice guy, oh, you're so laid back. And a lot of people that I meet, that initially when they hear I'm a fighter, like I was a personal trainer down in Portland, and I'm training people, and I'm talking to them about, oh, I got to fight this Saturday, and they're like, wow, I can't even imagine you doing that. And I'm like, well, I'm this relaxed because I'm going at 3 o'clock today, and I'm going to go spar. I have a place for that now. It's not just misguided aggression. It's just not misguided anything. It's like I have a place, I have the release, and then it makes me peaceful everywhere else. I believe that mixed martial arts is the ultimate test of your mind, body, and spirit. Because there's a lot of sports where you can be in excellent shape, but mentally you're off, you're thinking about something else, but your team picks you up. Or you pull it through because someone else did really well. In football, they only train one-dimensionally. They do their strength and conditioning, but they're not meant to be prolonged in, muscular action. Like they're 20, 30-second plays and then it resets. 20, 30-second plays, it resets. A lot of sports, you just can't train that way in MMA. MMA, you have to be able to be strong, you have to have that power, you have to have that endurance. Swimming, it's the one sport where cross-training and everything else applies to it. If you go swim, awesome. If you go rock climb, awesome. If you go do anything else, it helps you here because it's such a full body sport. So I try to swim, I try to do yoga, I bicycle, all those things, because they all apply here. Going through 3 deployments is giving me heightened levels of epinephrine and all these, adrenaline boosting chemicals. And really going in the ring has been, that's why I think I'm so calm inside a fight and I don't get nervous. I used to think something was wrong. And I used to try to pump myself up and convince myself this is a battle, this is war. And I went out there and I lost my first 2 fights. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So I started calming down. I walked out to reggae a few times, trying to stay nice and calm. And really, that's the mindset. When they say go, no matter if you want to be pumped up or not, you're going to be pumped up. So me staying calm and relaxed, it just helped me. It changed my fights 100%. So I really think that is because of my deployments overseas. and being around combat, doing those kind of things, like I really think that's giving me an edge in fighting, is that I don't get pumped up, I don't get ramped up, I just see what's happening and I react to it. My first fight, I got TKO'd in the first round. I fought a second state wrestler and he came out. It was like 7 months into my training or 8 months, so I just wanted to fight, like get me in there. And I got a fight with a tough dude. He beat me in the first round. I got downstairs, I was like, that was awesome. I was so pumped up, like I went over, like talked to him, like my second fight I got caught in an arm bar. I mean, I didn't get discouraged by any of it because I'm not really looking for a perfect undefeated record. I'm looking for that release. And I got that release, that's what I was there for. Like I'm pumped. Like I felt awesome after the fights. A win always feels good, but I didn't mind losing because I didn't hold anything back. I think any martial arts program or athletic program for that matter teaches people a lot. I coming from a personal training background, I can see the difference in someone that was an athlete and wasn't an athlete, not just in their physical abilities, but in their mental state. People are a lot more, they're a lot stronger willed. They know more about themselves. They know how much they can accomplish, how hard they can push themselves, and they learn to interact with people, and I think those are really valuable skills. So in our kids program, we still have the discipline, but it teaches those kids something. I mean, it teaches them something, they learn something, they learn how to grow, they learn how to, something that's hard. They have to push themselves physically, which I think everyone should have the ability to push themselves physically. A lot of people don't because they just don't know how hard they can push. And really, they have a lot more to give, they've just never done it, so they don't know how far it is. So if you grow up always having to push yourself physically, then you learn a lot about how strong you are, what you like, what you don't like. I think it's a huge, benefit to people. Also, my old head coach, he had his daughter, and since she was a little girl, and his main reason was if someone ever tries to rape my daughter, the starting position in jiu-jitsu is a missionary position. It's like he will break their arm, she will choke them out. Like I just think it's good for self-confidence. I tell people all the time, because they think Team Quest Fight Club that they have to fight. I'm like, you don't have to fight. Like it's just a boost of confidence. If you're taking your girlfriend out, or you guys are going out somewhere and someone says something, you have the confidence that you can defend yourself and defend her. You're not going to go and initiate anything. If you've been training long enough, people really don't do that kind of thing. But it's just the confidence, really. We're looking for anyone that wants to learn. Really, you just have to have the desire to learn and the will to push yourself. And we have a Fit Quest class that's it's just for cardio, just for weightlifting. We have a cardio bag class. We have girls that come into the kickboxing class, and most of them won't take the same impact, but they're still having fun. It's more fun than just pushing the weight at the room. Like you show up here, you don't know what you're doing. All you have to do is show up. You show up, you go through the motions, and you're going to get a workout, and you're going to learn something on the way. So it's not just picking up weight, setting it down. You're actually going to learn something, and you're going to be using your body more athletically than you would be in a weight room.